Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes, get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never met me before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and today was an inside job. It was no question an inside job. I actually questioned myself today, that I should be outside when I'm feeling this. I'm going to call it melancholy, right? Because it's a very reflective, gray, heavy kind of existence that I'm having in the past few days. I am having moments of getting things done and getting the lists on the go, making that little bit of movement in the topics that are coming across my path, looking for insight and reasoning as to events in my life, right? Or the lack of. And I have to say, sitting here right now, I'm kind of glad that I didn't go for a walk. Sometimes I could put myself in that heavy state, in that stressful, depressive, blah, right? I can do that to myself. And I more than often when I am in that state, it is because, but also, take a few lessons, right? Have a few fails, embarrass yourself, right? Become frustrated with yourself. Then you start talking to yourself and saying, like, smarten up, get your poop together, cheer up. Where's that high vibe? And I'm thinking, like, do those other emotions not count? Right? And I was kind of proud of myself when I said that because I don't ever want to make how I feel, right? How I think, the things that I believe in. I do not ever want to second guess my truths, my perspectives. I think quite a bit in well, I would have to say the past couple of years anyway, as you delve deeper into some of the content, as you put that work in to understanding how you got it wrong, or what the whole what is the whole story to what I'm doing, to the little bit of movement that I would like to make, and yet find that it is sometimes just such a push, right? And in that push, I second guess myself, right? And then, well, if I have to really push at it, is it really meant for me, right? If I really have to put that kind of effort in, if I have to quiet myself, right? If I have to stay in one place and not move about, not to be able to include others in the conversations that I so want to have, but then because, right, I'm saying to myself, Cindy, cheer up, brighten up, don't be such a pessimist, right? Stay on the positive side. You are making an anthill out of a molehill, right? That you're making something that is solvable. I like solvable, right? Marie Folio, she's somebody I appreciate. I believe her when she says that there is nothing that is not solvable, right? That you cannot give up in something where you know and recognize that there's a solution. So, sitting here today in the house, not going for a walk, and I really felt I really needed a walk, right? Tomorrow, for sure, no question, I'm going to go out for a little while. But, today I stayed in. I stayed in with my thoughts, I stayed in with my emotions, I stayed in with the questions, and I stayed in they're not serendipities, but it is information that comes across my path that needs to keep me on a topic because that topic needs to get through me, right? Right? Doesn't need to stay in me, but it needs to be something that I have to not even play with. I was going to say play with, but I do have to handle it, right? I do have to think about it, play with it a little bit, but not in the sense of playing, but playing, right? And to be a little bit more realistic. There's a good word for me because I am a realist. I am a realist and I have faith and you know trust. I do have faith in trust in how I'm moving and the information that's coming across my path and what I'm being asked to digest, right? And lots of us, we kind of put our own spin on things because it's too painful sometimes, right? To believe that somebody doesn't mean you well. It's painful to think that somebody that you've always been loyal to. Loyalty is huge for me because we live in this world where everybody is your best friend, right? In the moment. And everybody is letting us talk and explain and do our thing. And how I used to say all the time, it's important that we're not only, right, students, but that we're also spectators, that we should be able to sit and just look at the world, look at the characters, look at the conversations, look at the experiences, right? And mine too. And to be able to trust in those experiences, but that we don't live in that world, right? People don't tell the truth. And maybe sometimes in the moment they'll tell the truth, right? Because they believe in it in the moment. But soon as that sentence is out, soon as that conversation is over, it's right back to square one. It's right back into being a problem, right? And we lose faith. And so for me, loyalty is so important. And this is where I'm getting tripped up, right? Because I'm being asked to believe in something that hasn't even been realistically expressed. And yet, right? Because it's uncomfortable, because it's too painful, that we do not want to believe, right? And so we make up excuses for others, right? Or we brush it off as insignificant. It's not important, right? Or we can get past this. Well, if there is no we, how do you get past it, right? If it's a one-sided conversation, how does it get resolved, right? How is there any movement? All there is big question marks and exclamation marks going on, and that will trip us up. And if I'm feeling this and I'm going through this, I suspect, right, there's a pretty large group out there that is second guessing themselves, right? And not just second guessing themselves, they're talking themselves into something else because it seems so unbelievable, impossible, right? Right? And in that loyalty, and who does that serve? Or should I say, who does that hurt? Because that's what it's, right? If I've woken up to some of these ideas and knowing that others have woken up to their own ideas, why is there no movement in these loyalty issues, right? And we're not just talking, right? Loyalty between friends and family. Well, maybe in a sense, family, right? But those other parts of us that just move together from one lifetime to a next, right? And I understand disillusionment comes into it, right? And when we have questions, we put our own spin on things and we move with that, right? And we betray those loyalties and we cause that pain. And then we cover our tracks, we cover our lies, we we pretend like nothing is going on when everything is going on, when everything is being tipped upside down on its head, right? And it's kind of bad timing because I wasn't having a good week to start with, but we talked about this a little bit last week about when you're down for the count, right? When you've been hurt, when you have financial issues, when you have personal issues, when you have tragedies, when there are situations that put you in that crazy town, hairy, scary, right? Mindset, that's when we get that little bit of extra, right? Little kick in the side, right? Here, take another, right? Oh, not enough? Here's some more, right? I am an optimist. I am somebody who is living the best life that I can for myself in a life that's not bad, want something better for ourselves and better for our friends and better for our family, and right? We do, and better for our neighbors, our community, our cities, our countries. We do want that. But I think we are stepping on each other's toes. Stepping on each other's toe. That's just too polite of a term to say, right? I think we're just disrespecting each other, right? And not just disrespecting each other, but holding each other back from movement that is not dictated by, right? You and you and you, right? It's dictated. And we're only, right, supposed to be listening for the messages and the conversations and not putting our spin on that, because that's what's getting us into trouble, right? Right? We're taking it to too far. It's not even in friendly sportsmanship. It's not even that. It's taking people out, taking souls out, taking them right out of the picture, the conversation, the opportunity to turn that page in a book that we're all supposed to be reading, because it is a workbook. It is a manual, right? And we're writing the pages the way we want to, because, right? Gonna send some good cheer. Get to your destination. Let it be a false alarm that you get to turn around and go right back to the station. If you've never met me before, I live behind a fire station. So this is something that I experience a couple of times a day at the least, sometimes three or four times. I try and shoot that good cheer out there. I don't know if any of it hits, but if it does, that's pretty amazing, right? But at the same time, be kind of nice not to hear, right? The fire trucks and the paramedics and the ambulances and the police cars. That's not the world we live in. It could be. It could be. And I think it should be, but it's just not happening because we're all writing the pages, right? And me myself too, right? I paid attention today. It was a good thing that I paid attention, because I just could have gone for a walk, and I could have walked for a few hours, probably would have walked for a few hours today, had to shed a few tears and been in my thoughts, but I wouldn't have been thinking about that. I would have been off somewhere else, setting goals, right? Plans, dreams. I wouldn't have been thinking about these topics, because these topics would not have come across my path. And the only reason I know they were topics for me, because they were just like one after another. And I also understand too, it's just not in the content that's coming across my path, it's in the conversations, it's in my experiences, and it's in my own emotions, right? My own sense of understanding of what's being said and what's not being said. That's slowing not just me up, but I think slowing everybody up. I'm treading water. I really am. But I don't think that, I really had to do that, right? That take the whip, take that, move faster, right? Mush. I didn't have to do that, but I felt, right? I felt that. I felt that. I felt that push that was something that I needed to do. Was it beneficial? Well, it doesn't really matter because it's in the following and it's in the answers that have not been answered yet. That's going to determine that. But in the moment, how I feel right now, I'm feeling pretty disillusioned about it, right? I feel I played the game fairly and I've done it for the right reasons. But how it's playing out is not how I expected it to play out. If anything ever is playing out the way that we expect it to, right? And so today I just felt a little bit sad, right? A little bit more lonelier than I felt when I got up this morning, right? I've moved through a lot of pets in my lifetime. This one hit me hard, this cat. And it's not like I loved her any more than I loved any of my other pets, but I think because it's so raw in my life in general, right? That everything is so raw that every emotion just feels a little bit abrasive, right? It feels a little bit of a keep me in the place, in my place kind of feeling. And it's kind of got me in a mood, right? It's got me in a mood. But like I said, it's not like it's heavy. It is heavy. And if it's true, it's very sad. It's very heartbreaking and possibly even scary, possibly lonely. I'm not normally a lonely person. I love my own company, right? I have lots to keep me entertained. There were lots of options of things for me to do today, but I didn't want to. I was in it today and I wanted to just stay comfortable. Pair of sweatpants, my sweatshirt. Usually in the wintertime, I'm wearing sweatshirts and sweatpants anyway because it's so cold. If you don't know, I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. The snow melted though, so there's no snow on the ground. Again, it snowed yesterday, and I thought for sure that snow was going to stay. It didn't. It didn't stay. It melted, and it was a very nice day today. It was sunny. It was a last chance to go for a walk. There's no more leaves left on the trees, right? And it is cold out there, but it's walkable. There's no snow, and you can always put on lots of clothes. All my winter gear is ready to go. And actually, I went to the grocery store last night and I put on a big cowl around my neck and my favorite little bonnet would covered my ears and a little tie underneath, right? And a winter coat, right? So I'll be putting my fall coat away. Fall didn't last very long, I don't think, right? It was beautiful when I was in Ontario. It hit Ontario a lot sooner than it hit Manitoba. Manitoba stayed pretty warm over the course of the summer. Summer kind of carried on a little bit into the fall, but it's only been maybe 2 weeks, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks since that beautiful weather has been gone. So it's sometimes when things happen abruptly, when that information comes to you, right? You're just like, "Oh," right? Or that situation you find yourself in that you didn't expect, or that heartbreak, right? You break up with a boyfriend, or right, you're getting a divorce, or right. There are moments in our life that trip us up, and I can't just right. I can't just say everything's going to be okay, right? Sometimes we have to revel in the discomfort. Sometimes we have to revel in the sadness, in the heartbreak, in the betrayal. Uh, just like we revel in the joy and the happiness and the adventures and the excitement, right? We should be giving the negative part of our ideals and thoughts and emotions as much time, right? As we do the good times, right? We're taking pictures, we're hanging out with friends, and we're right. So we put a lot of effort and a lot of time in thinking and documenting and you know reminiscing about all the good times. But we just, when things are not going well, and we keep it within ourselves, and then when we keep it in within ourselves, then we find ourselves in these states that can easily pull us in to a realization or an emotion that where we didn't need to be, right? Wasn't that wasn't the point of that coming across our path, or in having that conversation, or letting somebody know something that you were displeased, right? It's not in our intent. And I say this all the time. And again, I have to think, is this because I'm making excuses for others, or I'm making excuses for myself to get us off the hook, right? Or do we just let the emotions, right, come through us, and we sit with it for a little bit? We reminisce a little bit. We cry a little bit. We believe a little bit because it came across our path for a reason. And how do our emotions feel about that, right? Because your emotions will tell you whether it's a truth or an untruth, right? But sometimes when we're down already, right? Someone comes up, just gives you another little kick in the side just to make sure you're good and down. That's when we go down. That's why those second kicks are always happening. It's because they can't take you out with one hit. They just can't. They wait until you're down already, because the little snivelers, right? The ones that would like to be tough but are just like this, all they can do is come up and give you that little kick and run away as fast as they can, right? Right? And they'll just keep doing that just to keep you down. Now, I don't know where that conversation came from, because I didn't I didn't get kicked by anything. I got kicked by life, right? I got a little kicked by life, but in getting kicked by life, there were little nice things going on at the same time. Like, I remember what I say, it's the best of times, it's the worst of times. So it's in that roller coaster of emotions. That's part of the game, right? It helps you to get in the frame of mind of crazy town, because you're so jumbled up. All you can think about is getting out of the jumble, right? And then The only way you can do that is to say, smarten up, Cindy. That's enough, right? That's enough. You're going to go for a walk tomorrow, right? You're going to have a nice day tomorrow, right? And don't jump on things. Don't munch on things. It's just information, but you have to give yourself some time for that information to move through the system, right? Not to jump to conclusions, not to make an anthill out of a molehill, right? And we do that. I always do that, right? But that's the sensitive in us, right? The highly sensitives, the empaths, right? That we find that we overthink things, we overfeel things, that we're always looking for that next boot in the side, that we don't loosen up strings in any way. We don't relax in any way. And we just make a bad situation worse. And that's the truth, right? And just even having that conversation, I realized that's exactly what I did to myself today. And you know, yes, people do pretty crappy things to each other, right? But when they do that, it's not usually because they're crappy people, right? It's usually because they're scared, right? That they made a snap and they adapted and conquered and found another way, but that other way was probably the wrong way. But again, in covering our tracks and not looking like somebody who makes bad decisions or doesn't do things properly, that right, that's what we do. We cover our tracks. We lie, right? We we just make it work, right? And that's what we do, because we're just all afraid of what other people think. And I think that's probably a big part of why lots of people do lots of crappy things to themselves and to others, right? And it's because of the fear. I would say, a good example of that is in my grocery store. Um, I have a grocery store, Safeway, and the prices are absolutely incredible. How much they have jumped up, absolutely crazy. And I'll walk around and I have a few dollars to get a few groceries or what I need, and I'm looking at homeless people. I'm assuming that they're homeless, right? Low incomes, poor, and they're stealing 75, $80 roasts and pork chops, and they're just filling up their bags and stuff. And right, we pay for all of that. But what do we do? Do we let people starve? And then we have to think, do they need a roast that big? I don't even get a roast that big. It's because they're stealing these things and they're selling them to people, right? But it's not because they're bad people. It's because of the fear. It's because, right? In the moment, they might not be afraid to steal a pot roast, but you got to think too that they don't have much, right? They don't have much. And when you're down and out, right? You don't care after a while. They're just going to kick me in the side anyway, right? I might as well go get that pot roast. And this is how this starts, right? By beating people down. And when you beat people down, eventually they're just going to give up. And if you project to them that that's the person that they are, they're thieves, useless, right? Good for nothings. That's what they're going to be, right? We're creating them. They're not creating they're not creating themselves, right? They're not creating themselves, right? We're doing that just like any any one of us. It's who we surround ourselves with, right? And we can do better by each other. I've had lots of opportunities to better myself in my life. And whenever I had that chance, I would take up those opportunities, right? Stay on my feet for a little while before in that self sabotage or whatever life is dishing out in the moment, we find ourselves, right? Down on the ground again. Just would be nice not to get that second kick, right? It's not needed. We kick ourselves enough. We don't need others to do it for us, right? Some people, others, they don't care, right? They don't care. You're on the ground, we're going to keep you on the ground. Okay, that was a strange conversation for me today, but I was in a very off mood today. I'm not that person. I'm usually very optimistic, but I'm just going to chalk it up, to the fact that, my best friend passed away this week, my cat, right? And I don't mean to say it like that, because the cat's insignificant. It's not a human, so it's okay. But that was my best friend, and it has been a rough week. And I can imagine why I would be a little bit disillusioned um, with some of the content. And maybe I purposely searched out that content because, in a way, in that self sabotage, I just wanted to be miserable. That I really, because I felt that I needed to properly grieve, right? I can't just sweep things up. I just can't, right? Carry on. I'm carrying on. I'm carrying on because I have to carry on, but I'm going to carry on with a broken heart for a little while. And that's okay. That's paying homage and honoring a relationship. That was important to me. Okay, you guys, I really need to leave it at that. A little bit. So if there's something in there for you guys, pay attention to it. I paid attention today, and it was heavy, but it was manageable, right? But it was probably something I could have done without, right? I need to I need to cheer up. I need to get back on the main road and just keep moving forward, right? It's uh it's important. I think it's important, right? I just keep hacking away. And I'll be going for a work walk tomorrow. It'll be a whole lot different story, I think, in the next coming days because I am working on a few things. It's important to stay busy in the projects, and I am bringing changes into my brand, just little ones, right? Just little ones. I'm happy with where it's at. I am happy with where it's at because it's genuine, it's me, and it's not acting, it's not staged, it's real. And if it's real, then it's got to be able to be felt, right? It just has to be. I believe that with every little bit of me. There is too much out there that we have to read in between the lines. Isn't it kind of nice to be face to face in a conversation that's real with somebody who's, I'm not going to say I'm not afraid to look like a dummy, right? But if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. And I have no problem being course corrected in any of my misgivings, misunderstandings, right? And perfectly understood that, right, there is no ill intent. There really isn't. So right, just get through this week, Cindy. Right, get through this week. You're already starting to feel, well, probably I'm not feeling any better today than I was yesterday. Probably a little bit heavier because I kicked myself in the side when I was down, right? I could have been watching a movie. I could have gone for a walk. I took out um, a roast and chopped it up all into little cubes, and I was going to like shake and bake it and everything and make a nice dinner. And no, I just, after thought, I just put it in the fridge and said, maybe tomorrow. But I could have, right? It's all in our choices. And if you guys have been hanging out with me for any length of time, you know that I am an optimist. That, right? I am looking to create a magnificent life for myself. I don't mind putting the work into it. I don't even mind the trip ups. I don't mind the lessons. But can we have a little bit of understanding, kindness, loyalty, and truth, and a little bit of ease up in what we feel that somebody else needs, right? Just worry about ourselves instead of worrying about everybody else. Okay, I don't know if I need to pull a card tonight, but we're going to pull one anyway if you have never hung out with me. These are 54 powerful words. They're just powerful words. And I pull the card, see the word, first thing that comes to my mind. We just go into it for a couple of minutes. Hopefully it's beneficial to somebody, right? If there's a lesson for me in that, amazing. If there's something for you in that, amazing. If not, hope you give me another shot tomorrow, maybe next week or something. You'll pop in again and give me another shot. But if you don't, it was nice meeting you. It was nice meeting you. And here we go. Let's just grab a card and call it a night. We all have those days, you guys. Don't pretend that everything's hunky dory, cotton candy and lollipops and rainbows. Yeah, and sprinkles. Yeah, I don't think so. Right? I'd like to meet the person who has that life. I just remembering a song. It was by Tina Turner and Barry White, and it was called Wildest Dreams, right? And it was the magnificence of how their life turned out, that they couldn't believe how amazing and wonderful and exciting and adventurous their life was. I really like that song. I listen to it on occasion, probably about once a week. I really like that one. Tina Turner, look at it. Tina Turner and Barry White. It's called Wildest Dreams. It's a good one. Okay, you guys, here we go. Let's pick a card, go into it for a couple of minutes, and let's just call it a night. Oh my goodness. It has been a day. It has been a week. I haven't had one of these. Uh, I've had them on occasion. I have them on occasion. I just forget in the moment. So, oh, I haven't had one for a long time. And I think, oh my goodness, Okay. Oh, now isn't this interesting? This word I have not pulled from my deck yet, but we did mention it tonight. The word we got today is spectator. Spectator. Never be so impatient that you miss the lesson in someone else's experience. Oh my goodness. Wasn't that what I was just saying? That sometimes we can put our own spin on things, right? That lots of times we can be our worst instigator. You give us a little bit of information, and because we don't like what that information is trying to get across to us, that we put our own spin on it, we turn it into something else. And when we do that, we can, well, right? Lessons in someone else's experience. We can lead people astray in that, right? We can just move through it so fast and spit it out as a truth in that moment of, right? Because when things happen in that moment, we're all freaking out, mouthing off, and whatever situation it is, it's in that second. And sometimes, right, we say things that hurt. We say things that we can't take back. We hurt ourselves, right? We can, so many things that we can do that can be detrimental to our well-being or somebody else's well-being, because we let our emotions just take us away in that instant, of that experience. And we do it all the time. We do it all the time. And you can practice by bringing yourself back to the main branch of the tree, right? But sometimes those emotions have to come through us. We have to understand them, right? Instead of pushing them away and saying, that can't be. They would never do that. They would never say that, right? That we can actually have a moment in these experiences, let the experience happen. And something that I've been doing this week is paying attention to the experience, paying attention to the experience, right? And it's a toughie, right? For me this week, it was pretty tough to immerse myself in that experience. Not an experience that I want to do, right? I might have to do it one or two more times, right? It's our pets, right? I don't think I could live without a cat. I've had a cat my entire life. I've had a cat. But the way my life plays out, right? I'm not quite sure if it would suit having a cat, especially when I want to hit the road, right? So never be so impatient that you miss the lesson in somebody else's experience, right? It's not about me, me, me. But those lessons, those experiences, those conversations, right? They come at me. I just can't do, no, I've had enough. I'm not listening. I don't believe it, right? You have to let it come into you. then you can make a decision, right? Tomorrow I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to think a little bit about what came across my path today. Oh, it's been coming across my path for a while, but I've been doing that. No, no, get away from me. That's not true. That's not possible. And, right, sometimes, sometimes you just have to believe what is facing you, right? And sometimes you have to take that piece with the grain of salt, understanding that our emotions can turn a molehill into an anthill, right? And I did it. I did it today. I'm sure I will go for a walk tomorrow. I will be thinking about it. I won't expand on it anymore, right? Because that's what it's saying. Be a spectator in it, right? Experience it. Let the story, let the explanation, let the conversations, let the information come through you, right? Like a piece of cheesecloth, right? That's going to catch all those crappy pieces and just feel it out for yourself before being so eager to come to the table and offer it up as a lesson, which is a lesson for myself in this moment, 100%. Spectator, never be so impatient that you miss the lesson in somebody else's experience, right? You have to take the lessons in for yourself because lots of times we influence others, right, in those experiences that we have. And how fair is it to offer up an explanation or a solution or, right, a frustration and offer that up as a truth, right, when we were just wanting to get it off our chests. Ah, okay, you guys, that's my good cheer. I'm going to come in and I'm going to watch this one for myself. I think this is probably a lesson for me, and I will let it, right. I will let it come in, and I'll go for a walk tomorrow, and I'll give it some contemplation, and then maybe I will give myself that little pep talk and get myself back on the main drag, right? It's gonna have to happen, right? It's I'm not a big believer in rushing through the sadness of things, right? We have to honor what's taking care of us, right? We have to honor what's contributed to our lives, and sometimes we get ourselves in these situations of grief or loss or heartbreak, and we just, hell, let's just get back to work already, right? Forget it, put it on a shelf, worry about it another day. And I don't want to be that person, right? I don't want to be that person. I want to give it the time that it needs. Okay, you guys. Hello, Eugene. Aw, thank you, Eugene. I appreciate that. I thought you were already subscribed to my channel. I thought you were already because you've been so consistent and coming and hang out with me. I appreciate that so much, Eugene. Thank you so much. You came right at the tail end. I'm calling it a night, and I appreciate the thumbs up. That's always amazing. You guys, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.